You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers.
What is up, good people? Welcome to the first episode of 2024. We've kind of made it a tradition around here to have my good friend Dewey from the Peer Pleasure Podcast come on and kind of wrap up the year. This is our third year in a row that we've done this. We kind of reflect on different episodes we've had over the past year. We talk about just podcasting in general and it's just a couple good friends shooting the breeze, hanging out, and podcasting. Dewey has a fantastic show called Peer Pleasure. It's very similar to this one, except he talks to a much wider range of people than just guitar-focused musicians. He, of course, does talk to a lot of music people. He actually recorded an episode with Adrian from No Doubt here in the Shred Shed, and he has also had a lot of, well, people from not necessarily strictly the music world. He's had Danny Trejo on the show. This year, he had Kat Von D on the show, who is also making music, and that is how I learned about that. He's had a wide range of people. He's an excellent conversationalist, and it's a truly epic show that I think you should definitely check out. So wherever you're listening to this one, go ahead and find the Peer Pleasure Podcast and hit that subscribe button and pour through the back catalog. He's got probably more episodes than I do. I don't even know. Well over 300, I'm sure. But it's a great show. Great guy. Go check him out. All right, I got just a little more business and we'll dive into this episode. It's not so much business, but it's very much related to New Year's. Lots of folks make New Year's resolutions, a lot of new gears resolutions in this crowd that listens to this show. Maybe you're trying to lose some weight. Maybe you're trying to gain some muscle. Maybe you have some other goals you want to hit. Or maybe you're looking to take your guitar playing up a notch. If that's the case, I've got something for you, and it is totally free. A few months ago, I was brainstorming with the Stringjoy crew, and we came up with an idea that wasn't just gear-focused. Now, we love gear. That's why we talk about it all the time. But we thought it would be a good idea to focus on playing for a change. So we got with my friend Eddie. Eddie is an instructor at Guitar Mastery Method. He's also a very in-demand session player. He's an incredible guitarist, and he's also an excellent teacher. We got him to sit down and give us 30 videos. That's right, 30 videos. We're doing a 30-day guitar challenge. It's stringjoy.com/30-day-challenge. You can get that link down in the show notes of this podcast. And if you sign up at that link, you will be getting a video every single day. They're about 10 to 18 minutes, so not just some insane thing. And it doesn't matter if you're a seasoned player, somebody who's just starting out, wherever you are in your guitar playing journey, you can get something out of this. We focus on like vibrato, bending to pitch, and things like that. Things that you probably have worked on before, but maybe it's been a while since you've sharpened that particular tool in your tool set. Eddie did such a good job. Addison from the JHS show did all the editing. It really came out incredible, and we are giving it all out for free. We decided, we're not paywalling this. This is too good. Everybody needs to see this. So all you got to do is go there and subscribe. You'll get those videos. And if you want to continue to hang out with us, that's great. If not, you can just go ahead and unsubscribe after the challenge is ended. And that is no harm, no foul. We just really wanted to put this together, and it came out absolutely fantastic. So please go check that out. It's again in the podcast show notes. That's stringjoy.com. It's right on the main page. It'll be up there all of January. So that's the thing. All right, everybody, without further ado, let's get into this episode with my friend Dewey Halpus. Here we go. Check.
Are you getting anything?
I am. Yeah.
Why is it so flat?
Because it helps cut down on the
Crossbleed?
Crossbleed.
Crossbeating?
Yeah. I always
speed.
struggle with that a little bit when I'm doing in-persons because I'm not used to it. I'm not used to having to think about it.
This is strange. Yeah.
But
okay.
I think we're good. As long as I can see, the green meter going on the right there.
GarageBand?
Yeah,
Still keeping it real.
that's right. You know how I do.
I build on GarageBand when it screwed up on me at one point.
Oh, I've never had it mess up on me,
Dude,
really.
if I got an update or something, or no, I got a new laptop. And for some reason, any file I dumped into GarageBand would give me like 5 or 10 seconds, and it was fast forwarded, like double or triple speed.
Weird.
And I could not figure it out. I said, now's my time. I got to figure out a different, or they're called DAWs or whatever. So I went to Audition because it had the easiest videos to watch.
Yeah.
And that was, I've been on that ever since.
I
like it.
have Studio One. I've been working with it a little bit more. Actually, hold on. I should just do my intro. What are we doing here? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have returning for another year-end wrap-up episode, Mr. Dewey Halpus from the Pure Pleasure Podcast, one of my favorite podcasts and one of my favorite hosts and one of my favorite dudes. So we're back in the Shred Shed hanging out.
Hell yeah. This is awesome. This has become a tradition.
I like this tradition.
I do. I like it a lot. And yeah, it's great catching up and coming back to the shed.
Yeah.
Been here a few times now. I did an interview here once.
You did. It was
Adrian from No Doubt.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that was awesome. And yeah, that was by far the weirdest interruption I've ever had on an episode was his episode because he had to stop the interview for a second to go let in the grandfather clock mechanic.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And I thought, that's a messed up, like, is he serious? And the dude comes in and starts working on the grandfather clock right there on the video.
Like, all right.
One of the weirdest things. I don't know. We can start with this because this is like, I just had that Kat Von D episode come out and she had a squirrel crawling on her the entire time.
What?
A squirrel. She's got a pet squirrel. And a hairless cat.
Squirrel?
So the whole interview, there's a squirrel like everything's normal. Like we start out, like she had hit me up through her publicist to come on the show. Mm-hmm. Everything's good. Like, yeah, sure, I'll have her on. Like, I was like, I didn't even thought about it. We get on. She's like, hey, I really don't want to talk about like the religion stuff because that's all I've been talking about lately. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about, so we're good.
Yeah.
Everything's normal. She's got a cat sitting there. And I'm like, okay, a hairless cat.
That seems like a Kat Von D thing to have.
Yeah. I mean, the goth thing with the hairless cat is a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Take it how you will. But 15, 20 minutes through the interview, a squirrel comes across on her shoulder. And I'm taken back for a second because I'm like, that's a squirrel. And she just lets it go. It goes across her back, across the, down to her shirt. And she's like, then she starts just caressing it. And I'm like, that's a squirrel.
Right.
You have a pet squirrel. I didn't want to mention anything. So the whole time in the video, you can kind of see me like, threw me off through the whole interview.
Of course, there's a
the
squirrel
whole
on somebody.
time. There's a squirrel.
It's not a cat. It's not a puppy.
No.
It's not even a gerbil.
not.
It's a squirrel.
It's not even legal, probably. I don't know. Like but a squirrel, of all things. The cat I understood.
Yeah.
A dog barking in the background, sure. A snake. A squirrel, though. And just petting it. And it's just loving her.
She must have raised this squirrel from birth. Like, how do you
don't
get
know.
a squirrel?
I know she lives in Illinois now or somewhere, or Indiana. Indiana? Yeah, Indiana. But weirdest thing I've seen on video so far, and that's what the Adrian thing came up with, because I was thinking about the other, what's the weirdest interruption? This wasn't an interruption. It's something I couldn't really mention because I didn't want to be rude, but it freaked me out for a second. Like, this is so strange.
Do you want to know the weirdest thing that I've had?
I would love to.
So I won't say who it was, and there's no way that the audio listeners would know, and I didn't publish the video for a very clear reason. Here momentarily, you'll see why. I had a gentleman on screen. He was using his phone doing with the Riverside app, because that's just how some people have. Mm-hmm. And great conversation. Honestly, fantastic conversation. And this interview is published, so all I'm saying is it was a gentleman. It could have been anybody. went into the bathroom while on the phone with me. Looking at the camera the whole time, sets the camera up. I'm like, he's not about to do what I think he's about to do, is he? Just straight up sits down on the throne and continues talking to me as if nothing weird is going on at all. Does his business,
dropped one.
does his business, cleans up, pulls his pants back on, goes back out to where he was recording in his backyard, like as if nothing had happened at all, and didn't once break conversation, so that I didn't even have to like
Or eye contact.
yeah, or eye contact. I was like, I feel like this is like a little bit of a. I think he just flexed on me a little bit.
He did.
Yeah,
He was testing you
he
out.
was testing me out, seeing if I would break, and I
Uh-huh.
feel like I did good. I was like, nah, I'll play your game.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I was just like, yeah, this is normal. This is what everyone does.
I wish you were mobile, because then you could have gone out to your backyard and squatted in the backyard and just did it that
And
way.
just been like, hey,
Where he's at.
I see how
Meet him where he's at.
I see how we're playing this
Or
game.
hit him where they ain't, is what they
That's
say.
right.
Dude, that's messed up.
Yeah, it
Eye
was-
contact and everything.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird. I don't know. I mean, he could see me, so he knew we were on video. I told him we're recording audio and video, just so you know. I tell everybody before we get started that I'm recording both. I said I mostly publish audio. I do record the videos, and one day I will publish them. And so, you know, it was...
You should have laid out the rules as 1 and 2, like, and number 2, I will release these. Because,
yeah.
sounds like he released it. Dude, that's funny.
Yeah, it was.
That's
and you know
funny.
what? This is similar to what we talked about last year. So you've had quite a year. You've been doing all kinds of stuff. So like I think last time we actually hung out was outside of the Jupiter Hotel, I guess technically was where we were. No, then we went into the lobby.
It's a two-parter.
Yeah, the Jew-parter.
No, the two-parter.
The two-parter. Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we did that. And that's the last time we actually hung out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Ironically, I released that episode with Yvette that we did on January 1st of this year.
So
I believe.
was it almost
Part
a year?
6.
Was it almost a year ago that we recorded then?
Yeah, it was December, like this week after Christmas.
Okay.
Covet
Wow.
came through.
Yeah.
We went and recorded, got kicked out, went in the Jupiter Hotel. I found out what a Limp Bizkit was.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I found that video the other day, which was pretty funny.
That's
Because she kept filming, like, it zooms in on my face. And, oh my God, it's so gross. But yeah, it was January 1st. Because I looked back. I was looking back through episodes this year in preparation for this, trying to remember what I had. And that was, I was like, oh man, okay.
all the.
Yvette Young, part 6.
It's weird how all of this runs. Oh, hello. Hi, we're
Hi.
recording, dude.
Oh, sorry.
I forgot to flip the sign, I think, or you didn't look at it.
We did. You forgot to flip.
Oh, sorry, boys. Can you flip it?
Yeah.
All right, bye, fellas.
Is that your boy that was in the Chase Bliss audio commercial?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. He's
That's Vincent?
That's Vincent.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to see
he's
him.
currently in. I just did a Maris one with him like a month ago. It's still running.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "What are we doing it on?" And it's that reverb pedal I was showing you earlier. And I was like, "Do you want to run your voice through the pedal?" He was like, "Yes." So he was so excited about that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that Yvette Young episode was fun. She's always so accommodating with that stuff,
I know.
and one of the best. Like, that's one of the few people you and I've had on like multiple times, the same person, and then together. Was that your third or fourth time having her
I think it
on?
was my third.
Okay.
It was my third. The first time we recorded with our cell phones in their van
In the rain.
in the rain. And then the second time was during the depths of lockdown when she challenged me to do the longest episode I've ever done. She didn't quite make it. I was like, I do this for a living.
Yeah.
I'll keep going all day long. We got like 3.5 hours, I think. So still a long episode. It might have been the longest episode I've ever recorded. I've had people on and we ended up talking longer than that. I think my longest single conversation that wasn't in person was with my friend Devon Whitaker is his name. He's been on the podcast a couple times too. Again, during the depths of lockdown, I had a 5.5 hour long phone conversation with him, and I walked like 27,000 steps or something.
Jeez, because you pace.
Yeah, yeah. I always
too.
pace.
Yeah.
And so I was like, looked at the phone. I was like, I did have things to do today, but apparently not more important than this. He's like, yeah, same. I definitely had projects I was supposed to be doing, but yeah. Yeah, he's one of my favorite people. He'd be an he's not a massive musician or anything, but he has a pretty decent following. I'd be really curious to hear what a conversation between you and him would be like.
Dude.
Yeah.
The weird thing I try to describe to people is with what we do is, yes, you're having a conversation, but it's got to be entertaining or at least captivating in some way. Because otherwise you're just, for example, if I'm sitting somewhere like an airport and two people are having a conversation, I'm just like, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Like, I hate that. Or someone's like on their phone chatting in a store or whatever. I'm just like, just wait till you're out of the store. It's never interesting or entertaining. But to be able to do that and have it be entertaining or interesting is the challenge.
Right.
To doing something like this. And who's to say anyone's going to enjoy any of this. But to have people respond to it in a positive way is pretty crazy. Because that's literally all you're doing is talking to somebody. I mean, you're throwing ideas out there and stuff, but like you're just talking.
It's funny to frame it through that lens because I'll put on podcasts at the airport, good example, so I don't hear other people talking. Yeah. But I'm putting on people talking to not hear people talking.
It's like bathing before you get in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're supposed to do it. Not everybody does it, but it's kind of redundant. Or sitting under a waterfall in a swimming pool and letting the water run all over you while you're in the water, completely engulfed in water. It's kind of the similar thing where, it's weird. But yeah, trying to have a conversation that's entertaining to someone else is super strange. And I don't think about it either, but subconsciously probably.
I think about it a little bit because if I'm not having a good time myself in the conversation, then I know for a fact that nobody else is going to be either. Like, I don't feign excitement when I'm doing this. It's all real. I just am talking, and what comes out comes out. So if you hear me sound bored on an interview, I probably am a little bit bored and mentally looking for something not boring to shift to. And maybe that thing is just not boring to me and it's boring to everyone else. I don't know. But either way, we have to be engaged in the conversation to make it work. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Because if it was just like, if we were just, hi, Dewey, so you're back here. I wish you weren't. Like that. Like, nobody would want to listen to that.
That'd actually be pretty cool. Oh,
make it like between two ferns type of thing. Yeah. I guess maybe
wish
that
more
could
people
work.
did stuff like that. That stuff's so funny when they like, just a disaster of an interview. There's that one kid. Man, who is he interviewing? Killswitch Engage or whatever. Like the worst interview ever. It's on YouTube. And he forgets like two of the guys' names. Like he forgets record. Like he was doing an actual interview like for something where he should have known those things, And it's just like they're making fun of him and like, I wasn't even in the band then or whatever. Like, and he's just like, oh, okay. So what about this? I could never go into something with a agenda like that. That's one thing I admire that people do, where they can get that kind of information out of people, where they have to get a certain thing or digging for it. I prefer the surprise of having things go naturally, for sure.
When I'm talking to somebody, it sounds kind of weird to say, but I've said this before. I do research, especially if I'm not hyper familiar with them and like the publicist reached out or something. I'll definitely do like, oh, let me dig into this a little bit and listen to their music and like whatever the vibe is. But I also purposely don't do too much because I want my questions to be real. I don't want to ask the same questions they've been asked a million times, and you do run the risk of that a little bit when you don't listen to more interviews. Yeah. But I also want my questions to be an actual question that I want to know the answer to. I don't want to be asking a question that I already know the answer to unless I'm looking for them to expand on something that I already know.
Mhm.
Oh, I heard you played this guitar on this record, but there's something else going on there too. What is that? Like, did you just have a split coil set up? Like, what's going, like
Mhm.
there might be something like that. But I always try to have my questions come from like a real place. Like if there's a song I really love, I won't try to find out too much about it if I know I'm going to talk to the person. I'll be like, man, this song's really killer. I love the lyrics. Like, what was going through your head when you were doing that? And maybe they've answered that question 40 times. Maybe they haven't. Most of the time they haven't, though.
Mhm.
So I just try to let it be things I'm genuinely curious about. That's my approach.
You have to be genuinely curious or it won't work. And then it just doesn't come across.
Yeah, because hey, you're just regurgitating whatever's on the teleprompter. And that's just like, we got mainstream media for that. I don't need to be participating in that. That's not what people are here for. And yeah, it's also weird how my shows, yours has always been what it's been. And of course you've like developed your skills over the years, and I like to think we all try to get better at whatever we're doing. But my show started with like this gear concept, and I'm sure that there's some level of people who go there expecting, the Premier Guitar rig rundown on every episode. And they're like, why is this guy talking about cheese? Like, what's going on? But to me, that's part of like, I have to keep the conversation interesting to me. I do want to know what pedals they're using and everything. But like, if I can tell that person doesn't really want to talk about that stuff, or like, I do it all in Kemper and there's nothing else to talk about, we're just going to have to talk about other things, and like processes and what people think or their business. I don't know. I just let it be kind of a reflection of where I am as a person. And that maybe is a little bit of false advertising, considering it's like, look, a guitar, But
Well, you say that at the beginning, it's about guitar stuff occasionally, sometimes.
That's why I had to.
Pretty consistently on that, where it's like, all right.
I had to do that. I felt like I had to just get that out of the way right in the beginning. I used to have like this longer intro for the first episode or two. I don't even remember. It was like some long rambly thing that didn't need to happen. And then for many years, it was the show about guitar tone and the people behind it, which is kind of cool. But also, I think, still lended itself to people imagining it was going to be a rig rundown. And so that's why I took the goofier, like occasionally, sometimes, like we'll talk about guitars, sure. We're also not going to talk about guitars as well. So hopefully people latch onto that. But yours has always been wherever the conversation is where it goes. I had to figure that out. I feel like you just naturally knew that's what needed to happen.
I did not.
No?
It's just how I had this like, I don't know. I probably talked about this before, but I've had like, when I was starting the podcast, my cousin came down. We were out to dinner. He's like, so what is this going to be? Just like you talking to musicians all the time? And I was like, I guess. I mean, I'll just talk to whoever. And he was like, what are you going to talk to him about? I was like, I don't know. Okay. Sounds awesome. And so I would do like pages of notes, questions, all that stuff. And it was like, man, I just didn't use them. But I did it every time. It's like, I got to do my due diligence. I'm going to run into someone who just doesn't talk and it's going to be terrible. It just didn't happen. I just kept doing it. I was like, this is a waste of time. Like, I'd rather just keep a clear head and just kind of go into it. And that's the way it worked. And it just started happening that way. And it was just like it was like episode 50 something with Jeff Rickley. He's like, those are your notes? Yeah. You didn't use them. Yeah, I guess I never do. I was like, why do you have them? Like, I don't know, Jeff. And even now, I had him on this year. I was like, dude, you were the one who like got that over that aha moment. Where it's like, oh, yeah.
So it was episode like 50 before you ditched the notes.
Yeah, it was at the Roseland, the same room where we met. And the tour manager had the Thursday dove on the door. It said podcast in progress. I saved it. It's like, all right, I'm going to bring you back to see Jeff now. And I'm like, cool, man. Thanks. So this is Jeff Rickley. I was like, yes, I know. Awesome. Hey, Jeff, let's do this. And that's just what it was. And we went into some dark, dark places on that one because he was, I think, 50 days sober of heroin. So he was still processing it. And it got wild.
I need to listen to that first one.
I had no
listened
idea.
to the new one, but I haven't listened to the first one. I got to go back.
Dude, I wasn't prepared for it. There's a couple times this happened where I wasn't prepared for what was going to happen. And I had to just react in live time. And it was him and I in a room, just the two of us in person. And he starts talking about stuff. I was like, you were addicted to heroin? And it was like this whole like, what?
Wow.
Like the Jeff Rickley I know was addicted to heroin?
I didn't know that.
And he was still like, he was fresh off still fresh into his sobriety. And I almost felt like, asked him afterwards, like, you sure you want to put this out there? Because like it was pretty brutal. But yeah, he was very up to talk about it. He got his whole voice changed. Everything changed when he started talking about that stuff. And same thing now, like even, a few months ago when I had him back on, he starts talking about that stuff. He gets the whole voice changes. And that's what I was telling him in his book, that I think if he does the audiobook, he should read it, but he should do it at different times of day to where when he's talking as the addict, like stay up till 3 a.m. and then read a chapter and have your voice be kind of how it is at that hour, a little distressed, and then and the good stuff, do it at like 10 a.m. when you're feeling good about yourself and feeling good about the day, and to give that inflection on the voices. I don't know if he'll do it, but that kind of stuff comes to my head sometimes when we're talking. But yeah, that was when it was like, this is just what we're going to do. Like, this is whatever comes up. And
I had a slightly similar experience. It was like but it was early for me. I think it was episode 7, maybe. I think that's the first Robert Keeley interview, which is still to this day some people's favorite. I actually reposted it within the last 2 years just because I was like, I know there's a lot of people that have never heard this and aren't going to go clear back in the feed to find it. But like when I post like in my group or whatever, anywhere, when I ask what people's favorite episode is, that one almost always comes up, and it's one of the first ones I did. And that was when Keeley was recently sober, and he was addicted to pills for a long time. And there's pictures of him. He'll post this stuff. Like I think that was his first time being really publicly open about it, but he's since been very open about it in other places too.
Yeah.
And he'll post pictures from back when he was addicted, and I guess back when he was using. And it's crazy to see him now. It's like, whoa. Yeah, you were skinny, but I didn't know that's why you were so skinny. Like, and then it was like right at this weird time in the internet where it's like, I think Keeley started making a name for himself with his compressor and everything, probably around 2003. I think he was working on it before then, but that's probably around the time that I started getting to the gear forums and finding out, like hearing the name Keeley pop up. Because I remember when I was getting ready to interview him, I was like, well, I'm going to interview Robert Keeley. There in pedal circles, he's like, royalty in some ways. And we've since become friends. He's been here. It's wild. That's another sidetrack, but like he came out here before it was like it is now. And he was like, wow, this is a lot of pedals. And I was like, oh no, Robert Keeley thinks I have a lot of pedals. But he started opening up out of nowhere about his addiction.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. I was like, oh, I thought this was a show about guitar pedals. What do I do? What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
And I just rolled with it. Obviously he wants to talk about this. So I just decided to see where it went. And that's happened a few times since. And it's a lot less jarring. That once I got that out of the way, it's like I don't have any personal experience with that, but I can talk about it.
That's like, that right there is the key. You learned something that day. You got a new skill. Like what if you would have shied away from that? Like, oh, we probably shouldn't talk about this, or change the subject. That's the one thing, Blake, I hate it more than anything in the world, is the changing the subject when someone gets uncomfortable thing, and it's the host doing it. It's not telling the story, but you can tell they're uncomfortable talking about it. And they're like, oh, so yeah, they changed the subject.
Right.
And the person's kind of left there like, wow, I just put myself out there. And it's like the what do they call it? When you call someone on the phone, immediately it goes to voicemail because they hit the button. Hey, we don't swear on this show, so I'm not going to say what it's actually called, the B word button. But yeah, that's a phrase. Like you just got snubbed.
Right.
It's kind of like that. Where like they opened up to you, and it's like, a lot of the stuff we talk about, people pay very good money to people to sit and listen to them talk about it as therapists. But when someone does that and they need to change the subject, it happens to Fat Mike all the time. He used to drive me nuts because hosts would get uncomfortable because he started talking about his weird eccentricities. Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, anyway, so that chord you played on this song, it's like, dude, the reason he keeps bringing this stuff up because no one will talk to him about it. Mm-hmm. Talk to him about it. What is it going to hurt?
Right.
You know, or if someone puts something out there that's kind of deep and the person feels weird. No fault to the host, I guess. The host is uncomfortable, but I hate it.
Right.
When I hear it, I'll just shut it off usually because I'm just like, you lost it. You completely lost the plot.
Yeah, I understand some degrees of it depending on the context of the show, but in the more conversational based stuff, I mean, it's hard to when somebody wants to talk about something. You know, I get this all the time. People are like, oh, I forgot this. I'm supposed to be talking about guitars. I wasn't supposed to talk about my aunt dying or whatever. I'm like, you can talk about whatever you want. Like, if it gets somewhere that I think is a little bit too far for this audience, maybe we'll rein it back in. But that's never really happened. So, like,
but you're clear about that at the beginning of an interview.
True. Yeah.
Like, hey, can I swear on this? You can. Try not to do it too much because I'm probably going to edit it out of there because my audience, you know, I want kids to be able to listen to this. You don't want to marginalize yourself, like, which I understand, and it makes complete sense. But you're clear about that. Like when the first time I came on the show, we were already buddies.
Right.
You're like, hey, here's how it works. Here's how we're recording. Try not to use profanity. If you need this, this, and this, like you get very clear at the beginning of the interview of what's kind of expected. So there's some ground rules laid down. So I don't think people would be surprised if things got reined back. But at the same time, if somebody really, wants to talk about something that's really important to them and it's slightly uncomfortable or even very uncomfortable, I'm not necessarily going to stop them. If it turns out like, wow, you really went into depth about that axe murder, like I might have to sit back. I'll just let them know when I won't stop it. I guess my point is I don't stop it mid-conversation. Yeah, I let it go, and if I'll make a mental note of it, and if I think it's too much, which hasn't really, I can't remember when it's happened really, but I know it has. I'll either listen back to it myself, and I'm like, oh, it's actually not. It's not that bad. Like, or that bad's not even the right way to say it. It's like it's not as intense as I thought it was. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that in. And if it's something that I feel like they wanted to talk about, even though it's not necessarily within the traditional bounds of what I've kind of laid out, but it's important, I'll still leave it in, you know. But I do, you know, I've kind of set some expectations sort of accidentally from the beginning of like where the levels it will get to, and I try to stay within those. But at the same time, somebody wants to talk about something, let's go. Like, let's see what's there. And those things are the things oftentimes that people like when, like, I always reference this one because it was the weirdest one, but like Yvette talking about her like sleep paralysis demons and stuff. And like you and several other people was like, this must be public because that was Patreon only. Like, I was like, well, yeah, I think you're right. If I've got 5 people that out of at the time, like maybe 60 people that have listened to it telling me this must be public, then it probably needs to be public, right? Because who knows how many other people maybe have something like that happen to them and they've never heard of sleep paralysis before. And they're just wondering what this black thing is crawling through their door every night and they're just freaked out. Yeah. Gives them a starting place. That's what's so shocking to me about the show, not to like put more gravitas on it than it deserves, but like I know you've had this experience of people hearing about things from people they went in wanting to hear a conversation with Jeff Rickley because I'm a big Thursday fan. Oh, I didn't know he was going through that. My cousin's going through the same thing, and now I understand it better because I actually heard it through somebody that I respect enough to give the time to. And I know that my position and like, I guess heart, for lack of a better term, has softened over the years of hearing people tell those stories. Like I definitely was way harsher when I was a kid. Like, come on, get over it. So dumb. So dumb. And like hearing more and more people's stories about like what it's really like, those kinds of things hit me really hard now. I'm like, wow, you know, I can see people as people more, even if I don't know who they are, which is, I honestly give credit, not just to
my show or your show, but like podcasting in general has done that for me in a lot of ways. Like humanizes people more.
Yeah, it's cataloging humanity. Like it's like a Dewey Decimal System of shout out to elementary school.
Man,
of humanity.
Missed opportunity for the podcast.
Yeah,
Do the Dewey Decimal
System. Gosh.
Hi, I'm Vincent, and I'm here to talk about the Maris Mercury X. My dad's always going on and on about how cool Maris is. He really went off on one about the Mercury X the other day. He said something about a 4,800 hertz sample rate and 99 preset locations and 33 banks, and something along the lines of the most advanced reverb pedal ever devised by man? That's all true, but I only care about one thing. This pedal sounds sick. So make sure you check out the Mercury X and all the other fine products at maris.us, as well as fine retailers worldwide. All right, Dad, now can I have my Pocky?
How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services. And it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there.
Did you have any conversations like that this year that blew your mind or that you weren't prepared to handle?
Not really. I mean, I say that it's hard to remember everything and like when it actually occurred. But I did have some really insane conversations. Like nothing that like I was like, oh, whoa, this is like some sort of life-changing thing. It was just like crazy stories. Like I just had the guy on that runs True Vintage Guitar, and he's got stories of like tracking down like sunburst Gibsons in South Africa and stuff. I was like, what? This is crazy.
I
like,
heard that one. I was going to bring that up because that was a cool episode.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily like the deepest conversation, but it's like, that's wild. This is your life. This is crazy. Like
dealing with the family and they thought he was scamming them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like, all the way to South Africa and having to ship it back or take it back. And so much money.
So much. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
But like honestly, one of my best episodes of the year, I didn't even talk that much on, which is some of the best ones sometimes, is with guitar YouTuber Phil McKnight. It was on just this month. We went like 3.5 hours, and it wasn't stuff I wasn't prepared to talk about necessarily, but he had some tragedy in his life that I think nobody knows about. Like he didn't reference it specifically on purpose, but I knew what he was talking about. He talked about his family was in, I'll just use his words. Do you remember the 90s? There was an SUV that was doing a lot of rolling over and a lot of lawsuits because of it. He was in one of those. And some of his family died. Some of them were seriously injured. And this was like at like kind of a weird turning point in his career. I don't think very many people know that. And he's one of like probably one of the most popular like gear specific guitar YouTubers out there. I don't think most of his audience knows that story. And so like hearing that, I didn't know it. I should say I knew a little bit of it because we'd talked about it in other contexts, but like hearing him lay it all out in the story of how he got to where he is. Some people, I mean, everyone does this with every content creator. I don't like that guy, or I like this person, but not this person. But like at the end of the day, if you sit down and talk to all these people, You probably like most of them, actually, even if their personality is like a little abrasive or a little bit like much. You probably like him. And Phil, I don't know why, but some people are like, I don't like Phil. I'm like, well, you're dumb. Phil's a great guy. If you don't like his style, that's one thing, but like he's a great dude who provides a lot of value. But I think even if people who maybe are on the fence about his content listen to that episode, they'll probably have their minds changed about who he is as a dude.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to get that one out there. And it's coincidentally probably going to be my most downloaded episode, even though it was only out a few weeks ago. What about you? Obviously, you had a squirrel that you interviewed.
Squirrel.
Vicariously.
I'm pretty sure this one happened this year. I think it was way early in the year. But Dallas from Maylene. Oh, my God. And I knew about the accident.
I knew about the accident, sort of, but not like...
I knew it was a four-wheeler accident, and he had a long recovery. When he started going into that story, absolutely insane. It put me like in a weird spot of just like, I felt so bad. But then he like just made it through all this stuff. Like, and then the funny parts of it, like from the recovery, when he was high on the medication and messing with the nurses. And but when he's talked about, I felt really bad though, when he talked about the little girl that found him and how she still can't talk to him or will not meet with him because she's traumatized the rest of her life because of what she saw. But she saved his life, and it was out of nowhere. Like,
I don't remember. How did she find him? I can't remember that.
For people listening that haven't heard the episode, in Dallas, got a four-wheeler accident. He was going down a dirt road, just flying down a dirt road on his four-wheeler like he always did.
I guess we should pause for a second because we have musicians from cross genres that listen to this. So Dallas is in a band called Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. Fantastic band. He was the original vocalist for Under Oath.
Yes.
And yeah, he's pretty well known in that scene. But if you're in the, swampy blues scene, then you also listen to this show. You may not be familiar, but
you would like Maylene.
You would probably like Maylene though if you are. So
Absolutely.
check them out. But like just for reference, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah. This four-wheeler accident, going down this road, he's never really seen someone just drive by on this road. It's just a back in the sticks. And somehow something went wrong, and he flew off the four-wheeler into a stop sign or something, some kind of sign. I'm trying to paraphrase here, remember all this, but the four-wheeler went in the air and landed on his head with the peg for your foot, the metal peg for your foot in his ear. And he was basically drowning in his own blood because his face was in, and it was pooling so fast. And this little girl came by on her bike and found him and went and got help. But what she saw, he can't even imagine what she saw. And
about how old was she?
I don't remember, but she was younger. But to this day, I asked him because I was like, have you met with this girl to thank, or she won't see me? Like she won't. She's still in therapy and like going through all these things.
I get it.
So the hard part there is that may have ruined her life to save his. So there's like all this weird guilt stuff and like things, but he's such a wonderful, peaceful person and thoughtful. And we have some of the best conversations and just text exchanges of just love and appreciation. But what a person, man, to come through that. I was not prepared. I wasn't even prepared to talk about he's talked about it so much, but I've never heard those details to where it's just like, like his face came off.
Yeah.
Like it detached from his skull. It was just free floating in there.
Jeez.
How you survive that, I don't understand. And then to get back on stage with Maylene, like the triumphant return after that, I mean, it's insane to think about. So like stuff like that happens. Like what's another one that caught me off guard? Nikki from Nothing. his dad passed away. He didn't get along with his father, but his dad passed away in such a weird way. And I'm trying to remember, I don't want to do it injustice by not remembering it correctly, but he started laughing about it because it was so absurd the way that he died.
Okay.
That I'm laughing.
Right.
And we're laughing that his dad died. But we're laughing at how his dad died. Something with a bike, drunk, wrecked it in a ditch, and basically died in front of a school bus full of kids or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
It was, I need to go back and listen to it again because I'm not doing it. There was another thing in there that made it so incredibly ironic and awful that he just was laughing.
It's just like black humor.
I'm like, we shouldn't be laughing at this, but man, that is
But if it was in a movie,
crazy.
you'd be laughing at it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just out of nowhere. I'm like, that dude's got some stories. You need to have him on the podcast. Nicky Palermo from Nothing. Amazing. So he went to prison for a stabbing at a fight at a hardcore show. So he's been to prison. He's got, stories that'll just take the paint off the house. It's bonkers. But those ones are super exciting for me because we really go somewhere. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here. And I'm here for it.
Yeah.
It's like your brakes going out in your car. And you're like, all right, well, I'm going to get to the bottom of this hill one way or the other.
Yep. You don't have a choice.
But we're going to get there.
That's right.
And whatever happens, we're going to have a good story to tell afterwards. But then I also enjoy the ones that are just upbeat and fun and happy and laughing and it's all good stuff.
It makes you realize how crazy the world is. There's a guy that, without getting into too much details, he's going to come on the show probably in the first quarter of the year, most likely next in January or February. But I was talking to him yesterday, and he was kind of giving me the rundown on these amps he's making, and I was like, honestly, the best thing I can do for you, these are going to be really cool, but you got to come on and tell your story. That's the best thing that you could do with me. And he's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And we got kind of sidetracked, and he was like, yeah, when I was working at this hot dog shop when I was in high school, yeah, it was a wild time. I'd become straight edge by that time, but like, he was like, it was just free cocaine in the hot dog store. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you go into work, and everyone has their allotted amount of cocaine that is provided to you by the hot dog store, wherever this is.
Like in your cubby?
Yeah, so I was like, what do you mean? He's like, everyone had an amount of cocaine given to them every single day. Everyone that worked there. He's like, I didn't do it at the time because I was straight edge by that point. But he's like, there was so much blow in this hot dog place. I was like, I didn't know there was enough. I didn't know there was blow money in a hot dog stand. Yeah.
You got to think the markup, Costco's failing big time.
Yeah, I guess. But I was like, well, I already know what the title for your episode's going to be. He's like, what? I'm like, cocaine and hot dogs. Like, that's what it's going to be for sure.
It's like a Limp Bizkit album title, like the, or the Blow Cubby. Like when you walk into like elementary school and you have your cubby, or at a job, you have your locker, or where you put your smock and your shirt and all that stuff. And there's just a little sack of blow in there. Every day.
Every day.
Productivity must have been at an all-time
Provided
high.
by the management.
Provided by the management.
I don't know how much we're talking about here, but I think any amount provided by the management is an interesting amount. Let's just put it that way.
Cocaine in the hot dog store.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that episode next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. How about your biggest chase for the the year, or someone you're still chasing that has continued throughout this year? It can take years sometimes.
It can take years.
Or did you accomplish one of those this year?
I haven't been chasing as much of those top ones as far as like, I guess, quote unquote A-list names necessarily. I've gotten the opportunity to do some pretty cool ones that I've realized this. It sounds kind of weird to say, but the ones that I get most excited about are rarely like the biggest names. That's just not that's not really the music I listen to. So Wow, the year's really kind of blurry. I've had some cool guests on this year, but I'm like, was it this year or was it last year? What all did I do? I might have to scroll through my own feed. But what about you?
Let's see. Chris Hanna from Propaganda took a while.
Yeah.
And that actually, shout out to our mutual friend Daniel at DistroKid. He's the one who hooked that up. After years of trying, going through the whole band, trying to get to Chris, he's like, would you want to talk to Chris Hanna from Propaganda? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, let me reach out to him. I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. He reached out to him, and then it took a good 6 months to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we made it happen, and it was awesome. And then the other one is, I don't want to jinx it, but it's been 2 years now chasing this. But Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains said yes.
I know you've been chasing that one.
He said yes twice, and we're going to do it after the new year. But it's been through 2 now record cycles of trying to make this happen. But, we'll get there. He's a guitar hero for sure, and I will wait as long as it takes. But the yes was given, and so it will happen. I'll put it in the universe. But it's supposed to be after the first of the year, early next year. So,
oh wow, yeah.
Hopefully that comes to fruition.
A lot of these, I'm just going back through my feed. I'm like, all of that happened this year. There's actually quite a few. I got Daniel from Fit for a King, Devin from the Acacia Strain, Joey Sturgis came on, Matt McJunkins, Henry Cash, the Starcrawler. I'm like, wow, that all happened in 2022.
Hell yeah.
In my mind, this is kind of mixed through the years.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Anderson, Casey from the Wonder Years.
Love Casey.
He's awesome. One I was really excited about, and again, this is a perfect example of me being really, really excited about a band that a lot of people have no idea who it is. I got Drum's Dream on.
Oh, yeah.
I love that band. Yeah. So I love that band so much. So when I saw that Ask come through, I was like, no way. Yes. Old school Screamo. The legit stuff. And it was so cool talking to those dudes.
Casey Iodine and I were talking about those guys because he put out the record, and I was like, man, I should have those guys on.
Dude.
And it just didn't happen. But it was wild.
You really should.
I haven't gone through my episode list either. Because I went through it the other day when I knew we were going to do this, and I didn't pay much attention to it. But there's definitely some weird ones. And just thinking about how if you go through your list, you start scrolling through it, you start remembering the conversation, you remember how it happened. Super weird. It's super interesting. Richard Patrick from Filter.
Oh, dude,
I reached out to him on
exciting.
Instagram.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, sounds cool. Hit up my manager. And so I hit his manager, and we made it happen. I was like,
that one was really cool.
That's wild. But Dominic from Nothing, absolutely hilarious. The Memory Drip record with Dave from Fear Before and Marshall from Teenage Wrist. The Dave Marion episode that people have been asking for forever, that he just wasn't ready to do podcasts for a very long time. And that one was great. Tons of great. Yeah. What a weird year.
It is a weird year. I've got
Kat from Scowl. She's great.
Oh man, I just recently I saw that episode and I was like, I forgot I got to listen to that band. Just started listening to Scowl, which I know. Welcome to whatever year it is. But man, they're great. What a good band. Yeah. She's so cool.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's a great guest. So sweet.
And such a stage presence. Oh man, I want to see them live so bad.
Yeah. straight up, or just hardcore, punk rock and hardcore, and so many influences. There's a very interesting interview of, I think it was last year I did it. Keith Morris from Black Flag for the second time. I think it was last year. Such a good dude. I love him very much. But he did an interview with Kat from Scowl, and they sat him down together on YouTube. And he talked the entire time. I think she said and hi. I think that's all she got to say.
That sounds like Keith Morris.
And he just went off about so many things and just overtook the whole interview. That's the first time I had him on. I said maybe 3 words. He's like, so what are we going to talk about today, dude? I guess I'm wearing some magenta pink underwear. And blah, blah. And if I was president, I'd do this. And just I start going off. I'm trying to reel them in. Like I had all these notes because that was back when I did notes. And I was like, I'm not getting any of these. And I just let them go. All right, man, it's been cool. See you. So when I came back on, I was like, oh, God, what's this going to be like? And we had a great conversation. Each of us spoke. Like it was very back and forth. And anyway, Keith Moore is awesome. Cat is awesome as well. But yeah, there's a lot of really great bands coming out that are really harkening back to like older stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And not like the weird hipster, everyone wants to sound like Led Zeppelin, or I only listen to this classic rock station, or that kind of stuff, but like straight up like early punk days, which is so weird now because the world's so different.
Right.
But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not as different as I think. But it's just there's so much more access to things that those guys didn't have.
Yes.
Like they were just ferocious and angry and poor and booking shows over the phone, like no internet, no nothing. Like you heard about a band because they had a name going for themselves, not they looked cool on the internet. So it's interesting to me how things can still grow organically with that much static and noise to sift through.
What's amazing to me is, coming from the scenes that we come from, and they were big when we were kids, but seeing what has happened, and I've referenced this 5 million times on the podcast because it still blows my mind, but to see somebody like Lorna Shore or even Knocked Loose and Code Orange to play that kind of music and get as big as these bands have gotten. Lorna Shore is the particular one because I feel like that's probably the most extreme popular band now. It's like, and popular is, I guess, relative, it's not like Taylor Swift, but like they have shown incredible levels of success that I don't think anybody would ever expect to happen in like a deathcore band. And still sticking to that. Like Bring Me the Horizon had some of that, but they really changed I'm not criticizing it. It's not my thing, but like they really changed their sound a lot on the way to getting there. But Lorna Shore just got like more extreme. The more extreme they got, the bigger they got, which is completely counterintuitive. And I think that speaks to, again, like when this music started, it wasn't, nobody was in it because they thought they were going to be successful, but they just couldn't help it. They just had to do it. And now that's resonated with enough people that people can be successful. I mean, Spirit Box is another great example. Not as extreme, but still pretty heavy. And all of a sudden, they have a song with Megan Thee Stallion? Like, what is this world that we are living in? This doesn't even make any sense. Like, what?
Spirit Box is incredible. When I had Courtney on, it was way back. They had like 8,000 listeners maybe on Spotify. It came on randomly. I believe I was having Tatiana from Ginger on, and I was listening to Ginger at work on Spotify, and it randomly switched to Spirit Box. And I'm like, this isn't Ginger.
Mike's actually somebody who I've been trying to get, so that's one on the list.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's funny because now they're in the machine, like full on.
Yeah.
So I hit her up on her like personal email, just on the website. Like, hey, you want to do this podcast? She's like, yeah, it sounds cool. I've got this, friend's wedding this weekend. We could do it this day or whatever. And cool. Call her up. We do the episode. It's awesome. And now to even try and get an interview with any of them at this point, there's so many moving parts and managers and everything else. It's so funny that you can go from like a year earlier, hotmail.com or whatever, like blah, 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 to, all right, 7 managers and publicists and everything else. Like, can we do like very limited this, very limited that? Understood. Send a text, like it usually just goes unread or whatever, because there's just so many. I can't imagine the amount of requests that band gets for press.
Yeah. I
hate that word, press. But it's just funny how that works out, because that's one of the ones that was just like, oh my God, like they exploded. Absolutely exploded. And they just kind of have to go where they go now. And a weird spot to be in.
We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Good Hertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblinssaudio.com. I think you're going to like what you find.
Hey, this is Dewey Halpus, host of Peer Pleasure on the Sound Talent Media Podcast Network. Join me each week as I explore another long-form conversation with one of your favorite musicians, actors, comedians, or creatives. From Chino Moreno of the Deftones, John Gorley of Portugal the Man, to Fat Mike from NoFX and Ian MacKaye from Fugazi and Minor Threat, we go all over the map. From Fall Out Boy to Slayer, Peer Pleasure has it all. Check us out now on Sound Talent Media.
I think it's, again, it kind of speaks to like, it's just gotten so much. There's not really these divisions anymore. I mean, again, when I was saying like they did a song with Megan Thee Stallion, that's so crazy. Mm-hmm. But like, I just don't think it matters anymore. I don't think your genre really dictates anything about the level of success that you might be able to have the way it used to. Mm-hmm. And so seeing things like that happen, and then also, I mean, it's a weird experience to just like a few years ago. I mean, it sounds even weird to say out loud because it's so strange. But like going from Frank from My Chem bought a collab pedal that I did. That's how we got in contact, because I saw his name come through, and the dude that I was doing it with is named Ed at Wrought Iron Effects, and great guy. And I was like, Ed, do you know who that is? He's like, no. I'm like, dude, that's one of the guitar players in My Chemical Romance, they were on hiatus at the time. And so I met Frank through that. He came on the podcast very early on. I mean, relatively speaking, it was several years ago. Mm-hmm. And this is where I wanted to mention this when you were talking about Jeff Rickley. First time I briefly met him, we haven't like officially met, just kind of like, hey, how's it going? Have a nice day type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I was playing my Benson Vincent for Frank in the Wonder Ballroom because he just wanted me to bring a bunch of pedals and nerd out. I brought Grandpa's Les Paul Jr., my Benson Vincent, and like a box full of pedals, and we just went and like nerded out for a few hours. Mm-hmm. And Jeff was sitting on the floor reading a book while we were like tone nerding out. And it was just like, and that was one of those ones where I was like, what is my life turning into, in a good way? Because I just got back from NAMM, which was mind-bending enough. And this feels weird to say too. I had an opportunity to go interview Tepe. Mm-hmm. They were playing 2 hours away. And I was like, I'd never spoken to him before that. I was like, man, my favorite band. I really want to go interview him, but I am exhausted. My family hasn't seen me. And Frank wants me to go to the Wonder to do some tone nerdery. I'm like, in what world am I torn between going to interview Thrice, going to hang out with Frank, but not feeling like I should do either of those things because I was just away at a huge trade show for like 3. It sounds so bizarre. I'm like, what does everything turn into? Anyway, all that to say is like, fast forwarding to now, when my wife and I went to the My Chem show here and seeing that band fill a stadium to the brim. Now they deserve it, every bit of it. But back when even when they quit the first time, never would have imagined they were going to be a stadium band at that point.
Yeah.
Literally, like filling stadiums like Metallica or something. No, it's My Chemical Romance filling up a stadium. This is bonkers. It's bonkers what everything's turned into.
Dude, they opened for us. They opened
I
for us.
That's what I was hoping this was going to get
to. They opened for us twice. Yeah. What a weird world. Which, who's to say a band doesn't open for somebody ever?
You're right.
But they opened for us. I was like, what? Even then, it was like, this band's really popular. Like, they're getting really popular. The first record came out, and it was like, this band's getting some buzz. But we were still already there, and they were hopping on shows and stuff, so they would open. I was like, this is super strange. And I never met Frank.
Was this with Portugal or Anatomy?
This is with Anatomy of a Ghost.
That's what I was thinking,
I never met Frank. I met Ray a bunch of times. Gerard and I would talk every day when we'd be playing. Not every day. What I'm trying to get at is the tour that they were on after the first time they opened for us was with Avenged Sevenfold. Okay. And we were playing the same towns every day. So the clubs are close. So we go down and see them, and Gerard and I would talk about whatever. And then that's the one place, if Cookie's listening to this, coming from Anatomy of a Ghost to starting a new band with the Burning Room with Cookie. I don't think he bought all the stories I was telling about stuff that had happened or people we had run into or friends of ours or whatever. I don't think he fully understood, not understood, but I don't think he always bought it. He thought it was kind of bullshit.
Okay.
So, excuse me. I did it. There we go. But when we did Warped Tour, it was just one date of the Warped Tour we were doing with Burning Room, and out of nowhere, Gerard comes over and he's like, Dewey, what's up? He has bulletproof vest on and stuff. And Cookie's just like, what? And I was like, dude, I told you, like, these people are great people. Like, they just, it's not like, hey, I know so-and-so. It's not that kind of thing. It's like, no, this is someone that we played a lot with that blew up. You know, like Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters. Like, I'm sure he has a lot of punk friends from No Use days that are like, oh yeah, I know the guy in Foo Fighters. No, you don't. Hey man, what's up? You know, like, so that was one of those funny moments where it's just kind of jaw dropped a little bit. And I was just like, that's what I'm talking about. And I think he finally understood that. And was like, okay,
that happened this year or was that last year? That was last year. Okay, never mind. I was like, Shiflett's been on. So
yeah,
I was trying to think, when did that happen? No, that was last year.
That's another one I almost had, and then it got pushed off, and I was just like, yeah,
he'll do it.
And he's awesome.
He was one that took a few years, but like eventually it popped up again. It was like, yeah, I'm a little bit jealous of him, not just because not just because he plays in the Foo Fighters, but as a podcaster.
Oh, geez,
because he plays in the Foo Fighters. He's getting to have Alex Lifeson from Rush on. He's getting to have like Brad Paisley and like these top guitarists.
Yeah. Merle Haggard?
Yeah.
Before he died?
I've listened to that interview. I don't know how many times.
Really?
Yeah. Probably 10 times. I'm a huge fan of Merle Haggard. And so like that was, I've told my dad, like, you've got to listen to this. You've got to listen to this interview with Merle Haggard. This is like, I think the last interview that he did. And it's like a sit down thing like what we do.
Yeah.
It's so good. And Chris did such a good job on it. And it's such a good episode. Everyone who's listening to this, go look up Walking the Floor. That's Chris Shiflett's podcast. And go listen to the episode with Merle Haggard. It's so freaking good.
And the Mike Ness one he did is incredible.
One, yes. He's a very good. He says he's not. Like I told him when we were recording, like, your podcast is incredible. And he's like, it's okay. I'm like, no, you do really well.
He's just a dude, but he's so good at it.
He's very good at like.
He's a good listener.
He listens and he grabs the question, pulls it. Like he's really good at it. Yeah. I got lucky to talk to him twice, and it was kind of funny because he came on Chasing Tone, which we don't normally do interviews on that show, but we're like, Chris Shiflett, yeah, we're going to do this one, of course. We had a great talk. A few weeks later, I'm at the String Joy factory, and I'm like, hey, Scott, you have to leave your office for a while because I'm doing this interview with Chris Shiflett. And he's like, oh, fine. And I pop up on screen, and I told the management, like, let him know it's me doing my show now. So I pop up, and he's like, oh, I know you. Like,
Did you send him some strings?
I tried to. Again,
they're so deeply sponsored by probably Ernie.
He was
Ball
into it. He was into it.
Yeah.
Because he was asking me questions like while I was sitting there. Oh, what do you mean you're making strings? Yeah. I don't know if you can hear that machine or whatever. But he's like, yeah, get with my management. And you know how that cookie crumbles sometimes. I did, but it didn't go anywhere.
Does he have, and not to put you on the spot here, does that record of his have him like jumping with a guitar on the cover of it?
Which one?
Chris Shiflett's
the new one?
Yeah. It's pretty like.
It's very country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was shocked when I saw the cover. I was like, that's the cover? Okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm like, I really like this guy, but man, I would not buy this record if I just was flipping through it. I'd be like, yep, next. Not that art has that much to do with it, but man, I was shocked.
Well, thinking back to, the pre-streaming days, that's part of how you bought records. I mean, most of my record buying I still buy records, but most of my record searching was done through the pretty advantageous area of like the stores I would go to had little scanners you could listen to. So it wasn't totally
Ozone Records.
Yeah, but the first thing you see is the album art. Yeah. And that's what makes you grab it or not when you've never heard of a band before. But I guess things are just different now.
Yeah. There's a bunch of albums came out this year that were weird. I can't remember if it's the Japanese House or Japanese Breakfast, but the cover is like a little thing with like someone took a pen and just circled it, and that's it. Yeah. Like, it's like, this is, wow, okay. Because the band's great. I can't remember which one of those it is, but they're covered literally just that. It's like a circle, like a red pen circle, like a ballpoint pen, circling like a little picture or something. That's it.
I was just watching literally yesterday because I just saw From Autumn to Ashes wrapped up a tour, and they're one of my favorite bands. Yeah, from that era. They didn't tour big. Like they did it pretty local to wherever they were at, or it was small, but it didn't come here. Let's put it that way. But I love that band. And so I went back and was just watching some of their old videos, and I think it's the last video they did for Pioneers. And I was just like, man, videos used to be like so much cooler. Yeah. Not that this is like this video is like an unattainable, like, oh, they had rockets and explosions and, Michael Bay type things going on, It was just in a machine shop. But the way they did it was like it told like a creepy story. And I was like, why don't we get videos like this anymore? I sound like such an old man right now. Back in my day, we had real music videos.
That's the band with the singing drummer, right?
Yes.
Yes. I've seen them play probably twice. We always got compared to them, and any kind of streaming service has From Autumn to Ashes on it, or the Kinnison, or who else? First to Last. Anyone with a high voice.
Yeah. Well, so they had From Autumn to Ashes had the main vocalist for several years. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had more of a deep, like growl type scream, and then the drummer had the higher voice, Francis. Yeah. Their last record, it was just Francis.
He's the singer.
Yes. So he was drumming and singing, and he may have played drums on the recording, but when they started touring afterwards, he was just the singer.
Same thing Atreyu did.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, actually, yes, exactly the same thing Atreyu
I'm talking to Travis tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah, nice. Second time. Yeah. I love those guys. They're awesome. But yeah, the drummer becoming the singer.
Well, Brandon's voice.
Yeah.
Come on. Get out of town. That guy has got pipes for days.
He does.
He was a great drummer, too. Or is a great drummer, I'm sure.
I love that he's a bigger dude fronting a band and just lets it go. Like, I love that about him. Yeah. Because I was hanging out with those guys at the Moda Center when they came through on that Trinity of Terror tour, and I was back there with Travis and Porter talking. It's the first time I met Brandon, and he's shorter than I am, but not by much. But we're both huge dudes. Dude. Yeah. And I watched him walk out on stage and just his confidence, whatever. Usually, guys my size are kind of timid that way or don't want to be the guy in the front. and he just owns it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. And yeah, they're so good with the lineup they have right now. And yeah, putting out some solid material. But Travis is a sweetheart, and so is Porter, and I don't know the other guys at all. But Porter and I have some good conversations, and same with Travis. And yeah, so I'm stoked for that one tomorrow. And then that one might be the last episode of the year. I don't know when this one's coming out, but
I'll probably put this one out. I have to look at the calendar. This will be the next one that comes out, though.
Okay.
That wouldn't make any sense. I have more in the can.
Yeah.
But let's
do the wrap up.
Let's wrap it up. Let's actually wrap it up. You know.
Sure.
Well, with that in mind, we've crested the hour mark.
Yeah.
And you want to do a little for Patreon?
Sure.
Cool. Do you have anything you would like to leave the people with?
Pineapple on pizza is awesome.
No, it's not.
I love it.
Come on, Dewey.
I just had a Hawaiian slice of pizza the other day, and I think about you every time I take a bite. Not every bite, but the first bite, I'm like, Blake, so good. And I see it everywhere now. Pineapple on pizza, people saying, and they're like, no, like sitcoms, things like that. It's kind of like pineapple on pizza. I never knew it was a thing until I met you, and I love it. This is a thing, and this is the most Portland thing that I'll ever say. I didn't like it before it was cool. Okay? You were the original hater.
Go back to 2015. 2015, I'm asking these questions, and I'm talking about pineapple on pizza. I'm like, no. And then it was right about that time. That's when the internet grabbed it. And then people started accusing me, like, you just say you don't like it because somebody on the internet told you. It's like, no, I hated it because I bit it once as a kid and went, ew, that's gross. And then that's it. Don't get me wrong. I bit it more than once.
Okay, because I was going to say, I did that with green bean casserole and said, ew, and now I could eat it every day.
I've actually done that I can't do it with a green bean casserole, but I've done that with a lot of things as a kid that I didn't like, that I love now. Onions, sauerkraut. Those are the big ones. I'm trying to think of those are the ones that I was like, I will never like either of these things ever. And now I could just eat it like an apple, you know. But there's more. I just have to think of it a little harder.
I just want to carry around pineapple stickers. So if I'm ever in a music store and see one of your slice of pie petals, I can stick it on there and take a picture and send it to you. Because it does. Or I would pay money to have it modded to have a pineapple setting on it.
A pineapple
like the
setting.
Dole knob or something like that. The Maui knob. But, dude, so good. I love it so much.
Somebody sent me the other day, they sent me a picture of a pizza that had, now I love jalapenos, so this wasn't a problem for me, but it had jalapenos and pineapples on a white sauce pizza. And I'm like, I didn't know that it could, I like white sauce pizzas.
I do too.
But not with pineapples. I would, if I have to eat pineapple on pizza, which I would avoid, but if I had to for some reason, like somebody's like, we have your family here hostage and you must eat this pizza.
Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
I will find them, but you have to eat this pineapple.
I'm like, oh, okay, I'll eat it. But at least give it to me on the red sauce pizza. I don't know if I could do the white sauce pizza.
Will you eat pineapple?
No.
On its own?
No.
You just don't like pineapple?
I don't like pineapple.
Oh, well, that's different. I thought you just didn't like it on pizza.
No, I don't like
you
pineapple.
You just don't like pineapple.
I don't like pineapple. The only
pineapple pepperoni pizza is also awesome.
People love it. I don't like pineapple.
Sweet and
it's
salty.
A weird. And it's not that I don't like sweet. I love like a hot honey on a pepperoni pizza sometime. It's just I don't like the flavor or the texture of a pineapple. There's only one place where I understand you have to have pineapple to make it work, and I do love this meat. I love al pastor. And you got to cook it with pineapple to make it work. Yeah, there's no other way.
There is not.
But I don't want the taco to have the pineapple chunks in it. I just want the meat. Take the pineapple chunks, keep them out of there.
It's like biting into a wet sock.
Yeah.
The texture, but its flavor's so good.
It's not, though.
And you can't quite get through all the ribbons in there and stuff. And you just have to swallow it. That's good. That wraps up the 2023. You just got to swallow it.
You have to.
Plug your nose and swallow it.
Enjoy the pineapple, I guess. Yeah. That's the only way I'm going to do it. All right, everybody. For Dewey, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, folks. There you have it. there it is. First episode of 2024. I hope 2024 is half as cool as 2023. Got some big stuff lined up. And of course, I will keep you all posted on all of that. Please make sure you check out Dewey's podcast as well. And don't forget about the Stringjoy 30-day guitar challenge. The link for that is in the show notes, or you can go to stringjoy.com and check out all the details for all those free lessons. Please check that out. I'm really, really stoked that we're doing this. I think it's going to be really awesome for everybody. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh wait, no, that's not it. There's more. Don't forget, I had more conversation with Dewey over on Patreon. Patreon is the most direct way to support the show, and truly, truly, it helps so much. The $5 level gets you not only the bonus episodes, but also the ad-free feed. And if you just want the ad-free feed, you can get that as well for a little bit less. So please do that if you can. It really, 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 really helps a lot. It's a lot bigger than, giving it to Disney or some other streaming service. So if you could do that for me, I really, really appreciate it. And if you can't, no worries. I totally get it. But please spread the word about this podcast. Please share it with somebody. Tell everyone you know about it. It would really mean the world to me, and it helps out a tremendous amount. Please share this show. Share it around. Let's make it the most shared show of 2024. That might be a little bit bold, but that'd be cool if it could happen. All right, everybody. I will talk to you very, very soon. Guess where? Yep, on the internet. All right, bye-bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously, seriously, seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.
Hey, this is Mike Wiebe, and I'm the singer in a band called the Riverboat Gamblers.
And I'm Zach Blair. I play guitar in a band called Rise Against. Mike and I also have a band called the Draculas, and we also have this great, amazing new podcast called Zach and Mike Make 3.
Yeah, each week we're going to ask ourselves and we're going to ask our guests what 3 favorite things they are into at that moment or in their entire lives. And then we're either going to agree with them or we're going to make fun of them. And you're going to listen to it and you're going to like it, or we will make fun of you. How about that? I just flipped it on you, the person listening to this right now. But we're going to do it every week here on the Sound Talent Network. Once again, it's called Zach and Mike Make 3.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Chad Nicefield.
And this is Justin Press.
We're the host of Making Waves, the Shiprock podcast, a part of the Sound Talent Media Podcast Network. We're inviting you to sail away with us on an epic journey in musical enlightenment. Every week, we bring you only the best artists in rock music and discuss everything from the cruise to the stage to the saga of being a professional recording artist. We'll have lots of special guests along the way, so tune in every week.
Your stateroom is available every Monday morning, so welcome aboard.